Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review, coming to you from the IFPA Global Produce and Floral Show.
The world famous podcast center, where we'll be
Yeah,
one of many, but surely none as good as this.
no, and we're going to probably be first out of the gate too because we run on tight deadlines. We're old school journalism, right? Um, so far, been a couple of days, just basically like leadership stuff last night, and then today was big education and the state of the industry, which is something that a lot of us look forward to, kind of setting the tone for IFPA's efforts in advocacy and increasing consumption. What were your kind of key takeaways from that?
Well, one thing that Cathy Burns and I, the CEO of IFPA, have talked about through the years, because she's been doing this a while, even before she was at IFPA, is when the produce industry needs to be more confrontational. It's not always easy. And the theme of this was fight for fresh. That was the theme of the state of the industry. So, I mean, she's really making it more explicit that the produce industry, led by IFPA and its members, are going to fight for the fresh produce industry and really be more proactive. I mean, along those lines, they are part of a lawsuit against the Department of Justice regarding some H2A regulations, which has just started up. You can take it all the way back to earlier this year when the produce industry was very forward on advocating for produce not to be taken out of the WIC program, which they targeted people in the regulators and legislators in DC, and they went hard after it, and it paid off because it ended up not getting taken out,
Yeah,
which
and
is worth upwards of $1 billion in produce sales within the program. So uh,
I think one of the key points of that was really reinforcing the economic, either bad economic outcomes from taking produce out of WIC. That is dollars for businesses. That is produce sold. That is retail. Definitely doesn't want to lose that kind of market share on that. And then one of the other efforts that was also pointed out was talking about a future without fresh. And Cathy said something about outgoing chairman John Anderson from OPPI, kind of pushing this on. We need to reinforce and make clear that you don't want a future without fresh. And that is setting the tone for the labor. That's setting a tone for the WIC and other things that they're going to be pursuing this year. Is you need us, you want us, and we're going to fight for it.
well, environmental regulations too, because in the EU and Canada, there are some strict regulations that have not gone through yet, but they're still in proposal stage. I mean, we've talked about this before, getting rid of banning plastic from fresh produce. Like that gets rid of fresh. I mean, bananas packed in plastic, and the industry is not ready to make that change,
Yeah,
even if they could, snap their fingers and make it compostable fit within. I mean, that doesn't happen that quickly. So
no.
that is absolutely an attack on fresh, and making that more known with regulators and uh, legislators
And consumers too. I think Canada, from what I remember from CPMA, was talking about a lot of really compostable forward and greener plastic initiatives have been pushed forward in, especially in Canada, and they have to reinforce that there's not enough material available to make snap judgments and snap decisions like this. It's like we are still in the infancy. We do need a push. We do need something to make sure that there is incentivizing the industry to go forward and to not just sit back and throw everything in a pouch bag, right? Pouch bags do a great job for a lot of things, but when you walk into a produce department and see nothing but pouch bags, you really kind of start to wonder if the consumers maybe are, have a point about some of this.
yeah.
Maybe there is too much plastic going on, but we have to make sure that we're making the business case, the environmental case, the food waste case, the shelf life case for everything that we're using and making sure that we're justifying it.
And still addressing consumer demand. Consumer demand's fresh, and if they start to get, if they get that message and then they can push it up the other direction.
Right. I would
That's a good
really love to see a retailer or somebody go back to those green punnets for strawberries, especially the fiber ones on a large scale, and just show consumers what it looks like to go take a strawberry category or any kind of soft berry category back to that green container and be like, here, this is what you wanted. Enjoy. Like, we're gonna have this much shelf life on these berries. Right. So, maybe we need to fight dirty. We got hecklers. That's okay. But packaging was also a key. Like, the only thing that showed up from Whole Foods let out its top 10 food trends. This is the 10th anniversary of this year's food trends, of the top 10 that they identified. And I have to say, I was kind of bummed that the only call out that was produce specific was about compostable PLU codes. And I think, compostable labels are important, but can we not talk about cucumbers or something? Come on. Is that too flash in the pan? Been a lot of talk about cucumbers and TikTok here.
Flash in the pan? Isn't that the whole, we have tiger
nut flour.
Tiger nut flour. Whole Foods, they're compelled to be weird, right?
Right. Yeah.
I guess maybe produce is not weird enough.
Produce is weird enough. There's plenty of things. So what I saw in the food trends from Whole Foods is a little more mainstream, a little less tiger nut flour. We saw attributes more like, let's talk about crunch, let's talk about hydration, let's talk about tea, things like that. And not any specific, I remember a couple of years ago, it was dates and all the different ways that we can use dates. And I know the date folks were super thrilled about that. But can we not, is there not some way to integrate produce into that? I was really bummed about it because here's the other thing too that I wanted to make sure that I reiterated, because we talked about this with Fresh Times last week. Protein was on that list again. And I'm starting to be concerned that protein is going to gobble up more of people's meal plan, and more of their headspace when they're thinking about what they're eating. And we need to make sure, is there a high protein salad kit out there?
There's a new product we had the release this week.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that produce, anytime that there is a protein involvement or there's a protein adjacent, or let's talk about fruit parfaits with Greek yogurt, marketing messages need to make sure that we are not losing plate space to the super protein category, because everyone's talking about protein right now. I would say that protein is almost one of the in my top 5 for next year. Consumers trying to find a way to eat more protein is going to be really high on that list. Aldi, yep.
Aldi's always in the news, even though we did have a story about Lidl this week.
We
rebranding.
Lidl
coming in hard
must
with fresh.
Not be doing so well if they have to rebrand. They're the superist market. So Lidl, they launched a new branding strategy. It was discussed briefly at Grocery Shop, but they sent out a press release about it this week about the superist market. But then right there, eating up all of the oxygen in the room is Aldi as well. So your Thanksgiving, how much of your Thanksgiving spend is going to be done at Aldi?
I think maybe last year we got our turkey there, and it was good.
Yeah. It's the same brand as everyone else's turkey.
There were some things on their list that are not going to make it into the Johnson household. The marshmallowy type.
No,
and
I don't put marshmallows on my sweet potatoes
cheese,
either.
No, we're not. That's not traditional.
I am not opposed to buying my groceries at Aldi, but when I am basically making the Super Bowl of dinners, I'm not going to make boxed mac and cheese. It's the same thing where I'm not going to make potato flakes. That does not happen in the Rima Schneider household.
They have whole potatoes there. I do normally buy my potatoes there.
Right. Yeah. So Aldi is saying, and I think it's key messaging, and I think a couple of other retailers did this when we've had our first year of COVID inflation. They're saying that you can buy Thanksgiving for 10 people and feed them for under $50. And so their hook on their press release was that it is Thanksgiving for 2019 prices. And I think it's smart to reinforce that we are doing the best we can to lower inflation.
It is great messaging, and it gets to value, and it hits consumers' pain points.
Right.
But I will say, just because you can do Thanksgiving for under $50 for 10 people doesn't mean that you should.
It's nice that it's an option. It's not the option for my family. I probably spend more on cheese for potatoes au gratin.
Yeah.
That's an Easter thing for us, though.
Is your charcuterie tray going to be from Aldi going to be under $50?
No.
Probably not.
But is it going to be from Aldi? Yes. Is it going to be under $50? No. We had, and just because Aldi is not the only discount retailer out there, there were a lot of really great news releases this week, which we are super thankful for because we're super busy here, right? Save a Lot launched something that I did not expect. They are launching a Hispanic banner in Aurora, Colorado. They're collaborating with one of the retailers that I think they acquired last year. I can't remember. I don't have it right in front of me. I can't cheat and have my notes in front of me. We've got to be real about this. We don't even have cue cards or anything. So they are launching a Hispanic banner, and it is the first in initiatives to launch alternative banners for Save a Lot. And that I thought was really interesting. It looks like they are in a growth mode. If you can remember back in the day before Super Value sold them, they were just kind of holding space. And now they're looking to innovate. So I thought that is all positive because that is the category of retail that I see a tremendous amount of potential for.
Yeah, it seems like there is some attrition in the real conventional segment within retail, but on high end, we're seeing some growth. On the value end, we're seeing some growth. People are picking their niches and trying to really deliver on those niches, and that's a good thing.
But they also have to make a business case for it because we also see, we didn't have any news about this, but I saw it, Walgreens is closing 1,500 stores. 7-Eleven is closing 500 stores in the U.S. So that's not to say that it's all growth all the time in retail. But the ones that are growing and innovating are doing some really interesting things. And I mean, on that note, we're going to cut it short. We got people waiting on this awesome podcast booth. So
it's a nice one.
Yeah, that's it for the Produce Reporter Weekend Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up. And where's your flair, Greg? You don't have any flair?
I really don't do flair, but you are picking up the flair slack for me, which, what are we, 35-ish? 35
pieces of flair? Yeah. I have a minimum. I don't even know how many. And I'm going to be looking for more, of course.
Of course.
All right, see ya.